This is our season. Palm trees breezing, opposing teams bleeding.
All right, welcome back to Buc What You Heard, the off-season edition of Buc What You Heard. And I'm joined by my co-host, KB, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm with the co-host of the co-host as well. Feeny
Hell.
wants to come say hi to everyone. We got new doggy in the house. She's
New-
made her Twitter debut, but now she's making her StreamYard debut. But yeah, it's been it's been the best part of my week. It wasn't the Bucs.
Was that anybody's best part of the week? So, man, this has just been so crazy, man. I don't know, just kind of, I'm kind of, when you first came in, this is kind of where my mind is right now. I'm just so indifferent about everything.
So what you're saying is I come in after the Bucs lose to the Falcons, and then I leave after the Bucs lose to the Falcons.
No, it's not like that. You're stuck. There will have to be like a restraining order or something. You're stuck with me. Just know that. But this season has been very frustrating. I thought it would be a lot more fun. There have been some fun games. Don't get me wrong, and we'll get into that a little bit. But I think, as a fan, and this is a fan show. Again, I'm not an insider. I'm not a coach. I don't claim to be the know-it-all about everything, but I can tell you what I've seen this season has just been so frustrating. And the word that comes to mind is underachievement. And
all three phases, baby.
All three phases, baby. And I gave, from preseason to where we are now, it's just been underachievement. Nothing consistent. And it just baffles the mind. And again, what can you do? You just kind of move on from it. But I did want to kind of go back through this season as a whole and just kind of get your overview of what you thought of this NFL season.
Oh man, this just from a Bucs standpoint or the entire NFL?
I'm just talking about from a Bucs standpoint. We'll definitely jump out there a little bit more and talk a little bit more about some other things. But just hey, what's going on, Plus?
What's up, guys?
So, KB, just what is your overall take on the season? I mean, how would you sum it all up? Oh, Plus or KB froze on us.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So.
Oh no, did I freeze?
Yeah. Okay. You're back. You're back. So go ahead and give us your thoughts. Oh, he froze again. All right. I guess I'll go first. Oh, and folks, if you don't know, now you know. My man, Michael Pless from Real Bucs Talk is joining us, and I really appreciate it. And I guess my big question was, what was your overview of the Bucs season from preseason to now? And KB, I'll come back to you in a second.
I mean, just the whole season in general. I mean, it was definitely frustrating. Obviously, offense. We all thought the offense was going to be something that we didn't have to worry about, but that wasn't the case. And there just never was adjustments to the new personnel that they brought in. Obviously, not the same offensive line that you had in 2020 or 2021. And certain players just didn't play to their expectation. Donovan Smith had a down year, didn't play as good as he did the past two seasons. Obviously, left guard was a question mark with, Luke Gedeke throughout the first half of the season. And then they finally made a change and it got a little bit better, but not great. And then obviously Ryan Jensen. I mean, we could start there. I mean, the loss of Ryan Jensen to start the training camp. Yeah, it was a big loss. And then just Byron and his play calling and inconsistencies there. The overall philosophy of how to attack with, analytics and just modern NFL play calling was just very absent. and it showed. I mean, we got too predictable, and we've seen this in the past, even during 2020 and 2021. And I don't know why we thought it was going to be different this year, but it was a lot of the same. But the issue was in those past seasons, we had the playmakers to overcome his deficiencies as a play caller.
Right.
And this season, we just didn't have that. And, Tom took a couple of steps back as far as in his play, especially with his accuracy and his pocket mobility. It went down a little bit, but still, he was a top 10 quarterback in this league, from arm talent and also making some very high difficult throws week in, week out. So he's still a very good player. And then you look, defensively, I think it was just, I thought they did a lot of good things from a pass coverage standpoint, but losing Shaq Barrett was a tough loss. And we saw that especially down the stretch where you needed sacks from your front four, and that just didn't happen. And we saw it on Monday against the Cowboys when you were playing better teams, better football teams, and not able to get after the quarterback with four. It hurts. And, definitely there was inconsistencies on that part, but, for them to go through the season with the coaching deficiencies that they had, and even Todd Bowles as a head coach, some of the decision making that he made as a head coach was disappointing, you thought. But again, we had evidence in the past, Todd Bowles maybe he's just not head coach material. And as good as he is as a defensive coordinator, I think he is a pretty good defensive coordinator. You got to be able to make certain decisions as a head coach and be that leader. And we just didn't see that consistently. And, there was definitely issues. And, obviously there was distractions with Tom Brady and his divorce. And, that played a part in it. Certain injuries as well definitely hurt the team. But for them to still get a division title and also, playoff appearance, that's nice, but still disappointing from expectations that were going into the season for sure.
Absolutely. KB.
I'm here, I promise.
Welcome.
It was perfect timing for me to go out there, but I'm obviously going to echo a lot of what Plus said. From a negative standpoint, I think we saw the Cowboys game was a microcosm of what a decent offensive, not even just scheme. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan's offense, for instance, is always going to scheme people open.
Mm-hmm.
But the Cowboys came in with a game plan. Think of that Dalton Schultz double move, post corner, corner post route that he ran. He faked that he was going to go to the corner, ran straight to the post. Safety. Dak's not even looking at Dalton Schultz at all. He's just waiting. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, turn head throw. When was the last time we saw Brady do that? And to Pless's point, it's not like Brady is full of, or he's blameless in any of this.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of this, a lot of people made when Bruce Arians stepped down about the whole redlining thing. And while I think that was, not something that occurred, I think Bruce Arians's effect of knowing his scheme, knowing how it works, and providing suggestions, I think is something that was sorely missed. And that to me comes down to leadership. Todd Bowles, for me, in order for me to be excited about next season, I think he has to find a good offensive coordinator, one that could command the respect of, let's say, Tom Brady if he were to come back, but also, be able to get a hold of these, players, make them feel comfortable, not make them, so dependent on, if your route is depending on how the coverage is, so the quarterback and the wide receiver. No, let's simplify some things, but also be a little bit more modern. I don't think Todd has the capacity to do that. So I'm a little bit concerned moving forward, but some positives that we haven't really gotten to yet. I think one of them is Devin White. I think he played a lot better after that Ravens game. Makes me a little bit more encouraged, especially if Levante David maybe wants to step aside, or maybe he wants to go maybe a 1 year, Lombardi hunt outside of Tampa. I'm not saying we should pay him $100 million, but I think he stepped up in a way that he didn't at the end of last year especially this year when he had a bunch of scrutiny under him. And it's nice to see, some young development like Robert Hainsey occur. I mean, the Ryan Jensen injury was so devastating. So devastating. It's a leadership, it's a mentality. We saw him go after Micah Parsons in that game.
Yeah.
For talking some smack. Hainsey's not that guy, but what he did was he came in, filled in the gap. That was sorely needed. Mike got his 1,000. That's another positive, despite literally having the most up and down season one could possibly imagine for a player of his caliber. Godwin got 1,000 yards despite the ACL and missing a couple games. Like, there's some good positives thrown in there, and I think, I don't think we're going to be having another head coach. However, you're going to be losing a lot of the secondary next year. I'm really concerned about Jamel Dean not coming back, playing Sean Murphy Bunting on Sunday. Let's say Jamel Dean was sick and they had a handshake agreement to only play special teams. I'm sorry, that's just not good, man. Jamel Dean, if I'm him, I feel probably disrespected because I don't think that was the case. Todd Bowles said after the game he was riding the hot hand the same way we see Rashad week after week outperform Lenny.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Lenny gets those reps. SMB got those reps. So I'm really concerned. I thought this team had a priority of signing Dean, but that might not be the case.
Yeah. And I guess for me, I think underachievement. I think of 2018. I think of 2017. And I think the talent's a little bit better now than when we had what you saw back then. But I expected so much more out of this team. And I felt like there was a huge drop off from last year. And, I keep coming back to Bruce Arians not being here anymore. And I understand that there are some different things that were mentioned. You got Todd Bowles not being able to put his coaching staff together. He's kind of working with what he's inherited, the players he's inherited. And, he's pretty much, this is his season, his first season. So you really don't know what to expect from him. But again, with this team playing the way they've been playing, I expected a whole lot more. And you just really didn't see it. And this team played like, they didn't have anybody out there that they can get the ball to. And just how unimaginative this offense was. And the fact that, they were you had so many games where Bucs offensive players were covered, just covered. Like, oh, I know it's getting ready to, let me look at this formation. Okay, I know what they're going to do. And everybody was in their right assignments. I don't know if it's just the quality of defenses that the Bucs played or the fact that these guys were or this scheme was so predictable that you knew what was coming, regardless of, whatever happened. You just knew. And you saw that with the Dallas game, where you didn't have anybody that was truly open in a large majority of the game. So that's one of the things I really struggle with. I've been kind of hot and cold with Byron since he's been in Tampa. And again, this was an opportunity for him to elevate his game and come out strong and come out in a way that would put this team in a position to win. Scheme players open, as you guys mentioned, seeing more emotion, seeing slants, just little things, little wrinkles in the offense. He could have kept the offense the way it was, but everything was so predictable that we knew, you knew, KB knew, my wife knew, everybody knew what was coming next. So again, just I think it was a waste of some good talent. I realized there were injuries here and there. There were players that were out, but making the most out of the players that you have is a quality that head coaches are supposed to have. We see that with Bill Belichick. We've seen that with McVay. We've seen that with some of your coaches around the league, but you just don't see that here. It's like they're trying to hammer this square block into a round hole, and regardless of whether it works or not, they're going to force it to work instead of stepping back, making those adjustments, and taking what the defense gives you. I mean, this offense has the ability to do that, but they just kind of got away from it, and that's been kind of a disappointment for me. So again, I hope that we will see market changes next season. Again, I don't think that Byron should come back. I feel like at the beginning of every season he's been the OC, there's been some regression before they take step forwards to really do things. And there have been some wasted games, in my opinion, just since Byron has been the offensive coordinator.
And even then, think about it just from an overall team standpoint, if you want to even talk about Todd too. What are the three, games that we had that were, I wouldn't even call them complete, but the best games the Bucs played? Dallas week 1, Seattle right before the bye, Carolina. So this team, for instance, what do the best teams do? What did the 2020 Bucs team do? Yes, they went on that losing streak, but you put together 3, 4 wins in a row. That tells you you're doing something right.
Yeah.
The Bucs never won more than 2 games this season in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the early part of the season. So that tells you this team just didn't have an identity. The whole, we know what every team is by the time December comes. With the exception of the Carolina Panthers game, every game that the Bucs played after the bye, it's the same team.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't just expect miracles to occur just because it's the playoffs, just because it's Tom Brady.
Right.
I mean, everyone's got to do their job. And I know that's Pless's big thing. I know it's Bill Belichick's thing for everyone to do their job. It goes both ways. It's the staff, it's the players. The players weren't executing, whether it's like one of those with the offensive line. If you all do the wrong thing, usually everyone's right. But if one person does something wrong, everything crumbles. And now it's the Bucs epitome of this season. It seems like every single play, someone did something wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that goes back to coaching. Like if if guys don't understand what they're supposed to be doing, accountability needs to be in place, especially as an offensive coordinator and really the offensive staff. And I do expect a lot of changes to the offensive staff. I think a lot of those guys will be let go. You'll see a lot of changes coming. Obviously, it starts with the new offense coordinator that will be brought in, and it'll probably be, some sort of a veteran play caller that can understands offenses, but also understands modern NFL offense and some analytics as well to back that up. So I think you're going to see that going forward.
Shout out to Paul Atwell. I know this is player. This is going to be Donovan Smith. Watch what he does at this point.
Oh, yeah,
this is Donovan Smith. But as a coach, Donnie did this multiple times this season. You got to nip that shit in the bud. He's sitting there adjusting his jersey mid-play.
Yeah.
Mid-play.
Yeah.
That's the epitome of what our season is. Someone is doing something wrong every single play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, you have to make use of the players you have. Whatever their strengths are, you have to play to those strengths. And we just didn't see that. They just, we've got a scheme. I don't care who's out there. We're going to go with the scheme that we have. I don't care who knows it. Just like the defense knew it. Defensive coordinators knew it. They planned for it. And basically they didn't vary from anything they did. And that can't happen. It just, I don't know. It just can't happen.
Yeah. And back to that play that you guys were showing, that was a common occurrence that we saw week to week where maybe it was one or maybe it was multiple guys that were just showing no energy on the field, no urgency, just no, attention to detail. And for Donovan Smith, again, he's going to be a topic this offseason and could be potentially be replaced and obviously, moved on from, especially with the salary cap implications and, with the draft coming up and free agent potential additions for offensive tackle. Yeah.
I have to ask you right here, who do you replace him with? Does anybody come to mind, whether it's a draft pick or potential free agent?
Well, Josh Quapo had a great article for Pure Report. I recommend you guys go check that out. He talked about Andre Dillard from Philadelphia Eagles, a left tackle that has been kind of the forgotten man. They moved on from him, obviously, with the addition of Jordan Mailata. Yeah, so I believe he's a free agent this offseason. So, he could be a potential target.
Young guy. He hasn't shown too much, but remember, the Bucs are playing Donnie some good money. So that's part of the picture.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could definitely go with, someone like him, or you could maybe find a veteran that could come in. Um, but you could also go into the draft, and there's a lot of good offensive tackles in this draft. It's a strong group. You could definitely look at, 19th overall, or if you wanted to trade down, that's an option as well. So I wouldn't be opposed to, starting a rookie at left tackle. There's also been talked about, maybe moving Tristan to the left side. I don't know if I do that yet,
I think
I think it has to be a new quarterback if you're going to do it. Tom, I wouldn't mess with it.
Right.
I wouldn't mess with it the way it is either, unless that's something.
If you're rebuilding, I say go for it. But again, that's coming from me, who's been saying don't do it for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Can I just show this clip real quick? So this is another epitome of what we've been talking about, from the players not executing and the coaches, not having them prepared. So obviously this is a 6-0 game. If the Bucs score here, most likely if Ryan Suckup, we know we can make things under 50. It's going to be a 7-6 ball game here.
Right.
Now, let's look at what Mike Evans and Russell Gage do. What routes are this? Let's look at Chris Godwin. Oh, okay, it cuts off, but he stops and obviously has a miscommunication with Brady. Let's look at the offensive line real quick. You're going to have 2 offensive linemen 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. Someone doesn't know what the heck's going on. The offensive line has no idea what they're doing. The receivers have no idea what they're doing.
So
there's no game plan.
Play.
Yeah, no, to me, it looks like it was some type of RPO where obviously they had the run pass option on.
How many times have we ran RPOs this season? So why are you doing it in a playoff game?
It doesn't make sense to me either.
But see, Donovan looks like he's pass blocking.
Right.
The left guard is pulling.
Yeah.
That's when him and Mason both are 3 yards down the field. Brait looks like he's blocking. Rashad looks like he's going to block or go for a screen. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't know what Russell Gage and Mike Evans are doing, but that's not even a slant or a drag, whatever both of them are doing. And Godwin's doing like a post in the middle, but Brady thinks he's going to go left and he goes right. But even if he goes left, I don't know how Godwin's going to catch that. So the quarterback doesn't know what he's doing. The offensive line is all not on the same page. The running back and tight end are running 2 different routes, it looks like, and the wide receivers are basically taking them all out of the play. So that's coaching. That's also players not executing.
Right. Well, I mean, it's coaching because obviously, as you saw there, no one's on the same page. To me, it looked like maybe Tom made a adjustment he saw something. Obviously, saw the one-on-one match with Chris Godwin. He was trying to throw it to him in the back of the end zone, but he saw the linebackers obviously in the way, so that's why he pump faked. But really, probably should just Hail Married that thing out of the end zone and just.
The staff has been here 4 years. How many times have we heard the word communication?
Yeah,
this includes BA good. Too.
Yeah,
this includes good. BA. Let's be real. He had the culture, and this is obviously a lot of 99.9% of the staff is his. So that tells you, hey, these people, they have the same coaching staff, they have the same players, and it's the same mistakes. I mean, the Cooper Kupp play, lack of communication. Okay, we're going to take that as a one-off. Sure. What do you call the entire secondary of what was going on last night or on Monday night? Excuse me.
But I'm going to say this: communication has been an issue for just the Bucs in general. I mean, going back to Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it just has. Where there are plays, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what happens, but I feel like the Bucs, especially this year, didn't look any different from preseason than they did postseason. Mm-hmm. I didn't see that much of an uptick in improvement from preseason to the postseason.
Yeah, 0-3 preseason probably should have told us something because it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was. It was. So I do want to talk about something a little bit more positive. I got some questions out there, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. And the first one that I wanted to start with is, who is your team MVP?
Tristan Wirfs. I don't want anyone else to take him. He's mine.
Okay. So you got Wirfs. Okay. All right.
Good luck finding anyone else.
Yeah. Worse was my guy, but I'm gonna go with I'll go with Jake Camarda. I thought he had a good
And
season.
he stole mine.
I think he had a really big bounce back. I think he had a decent start and then a meh 3-4 week stretch. Then all of a sudden, I mean, Mr. Consistency, and he probably had the play of the year.
Yeah. I just because that would have been my pick.
I could also say Mike Evans. I thought Mike had a pretty good year, given the situation that he was dealing with.
Yeah. Justin Stevenson, how you doing? Yeah. So in the chat,
Chris Godwin, another one.
Yeah. And that kind of comes back to the next question. Who's your comeback player of the year? And mine was Chris Godwin, of course.
Yeah.
I'm going to do Anthony Nelson.
Anthony had a solid season. Yeah.
We probably don't make the. I mean, again, I think Camarda and Nelson were the biggest reason why we won that Panthers game. But also Nelson, I mean, he made himself some money this season. Yeah. And whether if he's a number 2 on a team, I don't think he's going to be obviously a number 1 as an outside pass rusher, but he can play both sides. He's got the size. He's got the ability. He did nothing for us last year and the year before, and now he's about to be a free agent. So go Anthony Nelson.
There you go.
Yeah.
The next one, least favorite Bucs player / coach.
Byron. No, I'll do player and coach separately. I'll do Byron as my coach, obviously. From a player standpoint, someone like SMB was originally going to be on the tip of my tongue, but he had a couple of week stretch there. He was pretty good before the Dallas game. I think Luke Hideki. I mean, I'm not saying he had to come in and be perfect, but even when he got his natural position at right tackle for a couple snaps, in the Falcons, it's really hard to find 10 snaps of Luke Hideki out of the hundreds he played that were, hey, I'm positive for this kid is going to make some progress for next year.
All right.
No, those are good. Let's see. Well, obviously, least favorite coach is going to be Byron as well, as you've heard me talk about him all the time. Me and KB. But least favorite player, I'd probably say Logan Hall. I thought he was going to show a little bit more and just didn't flash as much as I thought.
Yeah. So for me, my coach would be Byron. Player is Brashad Perryman. Just so underwhelming. I mean, I know what the coaches envisioned bringing him back. What they thought they would get out of him, and they didn't get anywhere near that from him. And I feel like that was kind of a wasted roster spot, to be honest. I mean, when you look at from preseason to postseason, he just did not really do enough to to change my mind on, because I mean it was a head scratcher to me why he was brought in. And I don't know, that's just kind of my take on it. There's so many other names you could throw out there, but Brashad Perryman's the one that sticks out to me, only because I saw nothing out of him that was like, oh wow, man, we can expect him next year or something like that. You just didn't see it.
Yeah.
And let's see. Okay, this is kind of an interesting one here. Stupidest roster move.
Man, I have to think roster moves of what we've done.
So I'm thinking like Mickens with Jaden Mickens. He was cut like in the middle of the season, right? Or Jalen Darden. So I'm sorry, Dale Darden. Darden. So Jalen Darden, and they just cut him.
Yeah.
And to me, it didn't make any sense. I mean, it wasn't that much of a difference maker from who they had the rest of the season, because they were all fair catches and nothing really spectacular happened. But that was the move that I kind of scratched my head into this. I mean, right now I still don't understand it.
Yeah, I'll steal from G Vegas. He comes up with a good one here. Cole Beasley. Yeah. That one didn't really make any sense to me as well. I would say maybe that like like some of the moves that they didn't make. I would have liked to see a little bit more pass rush added in the offseason. And, I know Akeem Hicks was supposed to be something in that vicinity, and he really didn't play up to the standard that we expected. And then you look at, just not addressing the pass rushers in the draft. I would have just liked to see. I know you got JTS the year before, but I would like to see another guy added, especially in those early rounds, because it's so important. So important to get a group of pass rushers, especially when you do have injuries like Shaq Barrett going down, or even adding another offensive tackle. Because
just addressing the trenches a lot more than what they did.
Yeah. Just having, because we saw the issues with offensive tackle when guys went down. Obviously, we lost Tristan Wirfs at some point this season. Then we lost Donovan Smith as well, and it hurt your team. So just having those inconsistencies at tackle, definitely bringing in an upgrade over Josh Wells or having to play Brandon Walton, who's probably a better guard than he is a tackle. So just stuff like that was irritating.
Yeah, most definitely. This should be a fun one right here. What was your favorite game?
Favorite game, I would probably say against the Rams. Obviously that last drive, that was really cool, and being there in person. So that was a lot of fun seeing that last touchdown there at the end.
Yeah, I that was a great game. I think for me it was the Seahawks game in Germany. Getting to experience that once in a lifetime, and the Bucs won despite the coaching. So I was excited, man. It was a lot of fun, and so that would probably be my favorite game. Second favorite, I would have to say the Rams, because I had no expectations of Tampa beating the Rams in any way. Just because it's been so inconsistent in the way that the Bucs have played all year. You can't look at this game and say, okay, they're getting ready to turn the season around here, because it's just been so hit and miss, intermittent, and throughout the season, they've never developed any kind of consistency to where you can, get confident or excited about the next game they play.
Right. Yeah, and my second one would probably be that the Panthers game at home. That was just it was just cool to see, obviously Mike Evans have that big game, and just getting his his record, and obviously the touchdowns, and having a little bit of hope, going into the postseason. You think maybe they found something, but obviously that wasn't the case. It's just Carolina's just not a very good team. Average roster, average team.
There you go. And going back to the stupidest roster move, not bringing Sue. Somebody said not bringing Sue back.
Yeah.
I've always been a huge fan of number 93. That's my guy. And the fact that they didn't, I don't know how they figured that what he was asking for was too much. Right now, I still don't really understand that part of it, but I feel like what he did in the locker room and what he did on the field, regardless of how he's lost a step or two, he was still somewhat productive, with the Bucs. And I really believe he would have been a big help to this defensive line.
Right. Yeah, definitely from a leadership standpoint, and obviously losing JPP as well.
Right.
Those two, they just had a way of bringing that accountability, making sure guys are in the right position, especially up front. So yeah, losing both of them, that definitely it had an impact for sure. But we will see. Hopefully, like we talked about, they can add to the trenches and continue to add more talent up front.
Yeah, there you go. So the next question I have, where KB left us. Your favorite play of the year, just the play that you stuck out to you. This was the play that really is like my favorite play of the year. There's no wrong answers here.
Well, we'll have to go. I think someone mentioned it already, but the Rashad White stiff arm in Germany. That was probably my favorite.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was
yeah. So that was just a really great play. Yeah, overall. So I like that one.
I think my favorite play would have to be the Leonard Fournette chip on Micah Parsons
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
he was whining about on Twitter after he got lit up.
Yeah.
That I could watch that over and over again. I mean, I know I'm being petty, but after the game, I just went back and watched Lenny chip him again over and over and over again. So that was probably one of my favorite plays of the year. And I don't know. And let's see. Let's do Niners. I'm concerned for next year, quarterback wise. Uh,
Yep.
what's left? Crafts, God save it. You know what? Right now, and the only reason I haven't talked about quarterback or salary cap or anything like that, because we don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not even through the Super Bowl yet.
Right.
It's just hard to kind of wrap your head around what this team could do. Because as we know, Jason Light, he drafts in a bubble. Just the way he goes out and gets free agents. I mean, you don't know what to expect. So all you can really do at this point is just kind of sit back.
Yeah.
There's a lot of football going on.
Right.
And
Yeah, like I talked with my co-host Mark, and I was talking with him about really the next steps right now for this team is going to be finalizing their staff. So there's going to be some moves made for the offense assistants. You're going to probably see that coming probably the next couple of days, or starting next week. They're going to start making moves because they really want to get the staff in place. And it could go into February, it could go into March before they have like everyone finalized, but they're definitely going to open up some spots there. And really now you're focusing on a game plan,
compatibility, who fits.
right? You're setting up a game plan for the offseason. Obviously you're talking, the front office right now is talking with their scouts and everything, getting prepared for the draft, because you have, the Senior Bowl coming up. You have all these, all-star games coming up that you want to talk with and make sure you have, all those dotted and crossed, and making sure you have the right, the right players on your board as far as fits and stuff. And that will continue to change as they get into the more closer to the draft. But, yeah, you really start that process, and you start talking with, agents of your own teams, free agents, and, who do you want to prioritize to bring back? And, all those things are taking place right now.
Yeah. One thing I kind of wanted to kind of throw in there as well is if you're looking at an offensive coordinator, could it potentially be somebody that could step in as a head coach if something happened with Todd Bowles moving forward? Is that how you're looking at your offensive coordinator, or will this be Todd Bowles is making the choice, this is my guy, I'm bringing him in? Or is this more of a general manager coach kind of, we're working together to come up with who the head coach is? And then because we look at like what happened with New Orleans, even, or what happened with Tampa. You had somebody just kind of waiting in the wings that you could kind of transition them into that head coach position, and they would be ready to go. We obviously, that didn't work for us, but is that something that we could potentially be seeing with the Buccaneers?
It's possible, but I think with Todd Bowles, and I think they're going to give him his choice, or allow him to make his own choice on who he wants. And like I said earlier, he's probably going to want a veteran play caller, someone that, kind of has a good understanding of what the offense is today in NFL and how to attack defenses. And that's something I hope they look for, try to find someone with creativity and innovation, and understands how to, work with these players that are on the team right now, and, fit a scheme that will help them. So we'll see. I mean, could Jason Light go out and handpick a guy? Maybe, but I think they let Todd Bowles do that. And then they, work with them collectively, front office and the staff work together and understand, okay, these are the players that we want in here to, to fit our systems a little bit better. And yeah, I think that will be the plan. And also Todd Bowles has to win this year.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the hot seat going into next season, and he knows he has to win games, because if he doesn't, then you're probably looking for a new staff. And if we see a lot, and especially if we see a lot of the same things that happened this past year, and you don't see improvements in vast areas, then obviously change will take place.
Yeah, most definitely. And then it's like, what do you do? How do you move forward? So that's what I was kind of wondering about. I mean, Jason Light has been here. He's seen some different coaches come and go. He's seen different staff. Just setting yourself up to what could potentially be is, I guess, maybe I'm overthinking this, but what if they do have that offensive coordinator in place that is a good play caller? Do is he somebody that you could kind of move in, or do you just blow the whole thing up and start over?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've been talking with some other people. Like, if we do decide, after this season to move on from Todd Bowles, I would definitely love to see like a guy like Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions, Ken Dorsey from Buffalo Bills, Mike Kafka. Um, they're all in position to potentially be head coaches, and they've done a great job of just showing it innovation, creativity with their play calling. I mean, we all saw it with Mike McDaniels, even though he did
Right.
struggle with getting the snap off or getting the play in time, with the delay of game situations.
Yeah.
But you saw his creativity. I mean, some of the reverse plays that he had, just creating space for guys to get open. And you see that obviously with San Francisco, with what they're doing with Brock Purdy
Yeah.
and their system and their running game that they build, and knowing how to play to their strengths is so important. And when you look at a guy like Detroit and Ben Johnson, the season that he was able to create with Jared Goff, and a lot of people weren't talking about Jared Goff. They thought, oh, he's not going to be
washed.
he's washed. He's not going to be good. And he had a very good year this year. I mean, put up a lot of good numbers and led the Lions to one of the best scoring offenses in the league. And same thing with Mike Kafka and what he's doing with Brian Dable and that offense with Daniel Jones. I mean, we thought Daniel Jones was just garbage, and he's
Yeah, I
come
thought he
out.
was exactly.
He's done a great job.
Yeah.
And they don't have star receivers. When you look at their team, they don't have a stud receiver. What they do have is Saquon Barkley. They have a pretty good offensive line that they've rebuilt, and they play to their strengths and done a really good job of that.
Yeah. Somebody I really like, and maybe I'm wrong about this, is Pep Hamilton over in Houston. And again, I know that you're talking about the Lovie Smith, but just I've gotten to watch him a little bit, throughout his career, and I think he's got a pretty fresh mind when it comes to offenses. I would
Right.
like to see what he could do with some quality pieces and see how that would work out. But
Yeah.
again, you've dropped some really good names, and these guys have proven themselves, and these are guys that you want to see these type of people get a chance. Who knows, you may have the next Sean McVay.
Right. Right. And there's some other names. Obviously, I think the names that have been mentioned most so far is obviously Bill O'Brien, the offense coordinator for Alabama, but also has a history with Tom Brady. So he could be an option. You look at Todd Monken, who's been an offense coordinator for the Bucs, and obviously has a great offense at Georgia. You could, a name that was mentioned today that I really liked, Mark Burnell, the quarterbacks coach for the Lions. He could be potentially an offense coordinator.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted, let's say we're moving on from Tom Brady and we're going to maybe play a Blaine Gabbert or a Kyle Trask this season, maybe you look at a Brian Johnson from the Philadelphia Eagles, who is an offense coordinator with Kyle Trask and has history with him and really did some good things as an offense coordinator, quarterbacks coach for Jalen Hurts right now, and has really helped him grow as a quarterback, and obviously playing, really good the last couple of seasons. So those are a couple of options that could be in there, for OC.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So we're kind of getting down to the last part of this here. I did want to ask you, what is your overall grade for the offense in why do you say that? 'Cause I know it's easy to throw a F out there, but
Yeah,
in all honesty, I mean, when you look at players that came back, Godwin came back in the way he did. Julio Jones was pretty healthy for Julio Jones and this
right.
part of his career. So, with the loss of your offensive line, just little things like that, how would you overall rate this offense?
Yeah, I would probably, and this is probably being nice, but I would probably give it just a C. It was average, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much like that was our team this year is average. And it's unfortunate, And again, a lot of guys just didn't play up to their capabilities. Leonard Fournette had a down year. Donovan Smith didn't play well. You had injuries at key spots. Obviously, Ryan Jensen, losing him, that was a big loss. And then not expecting Ali Marpet to retire and have to find a new guard, and so and then obviously losing Hall of Fame tight end and Gronkowski, that's a
Yeah,
big loss as well. And,
it's huge.
incorporating rookie tight ends that it takes time for these guys to get accustomed and developed. And Rashad White as well, his ability, starting to come on strong later in the season. But yeah, it was tough. And then on top of that, you add in all the coaching mishaps and play calling issues, and you're always behind the sticks. And I think someone talked about we didn't convert a 3rd and long all year, a 3rd and 11. That's never a good sign if you can't convert, these distances, especially when you've done it in the past. So,
And
um, yeah,
just 17 was just the unlucky number that the Bucks offense had.
right.
And
Yeah,
it's like,
18 points a game,
yeah,
not good enough.
no, not even close. Unless you've got a super dominant defense, which again, the Bucks didn't have.
Right.
Again, for me, I'm going to say a D because they just underachieved. They really They were below. I would say they were below average based on
Right.
the level of talent that you have there. And I have to factor in coaching as well. And you've got some talented players on this team. I know a lot of people are like, oh, they lost a step or two, but these are people that are, you've got possession receivers. Mike Evans,
Yeah.
possession receiver. Julio Jones, possession receiver. You can scheme. You could scheme people open. Kate Otten was coming on, and I just don't think he got enough balls thrown his way. And I know that it's a lack of confidence because of drops at inopportune times. But again, you just kind of have to keep going back to him and help him build that confidence up. Um, Again, there were a lot of missed opportunities. There were a lot of wasted plays or wasted downs. And there was just a lot that, could have been corrected or, improved upon for the next game. But it just, they would start, they would get a little momentum, and then they would lose it all in the next game.
Yeah.
And just the fact that the Bucks have started out slow and regressed from where they left off the previous season, the last the last couple of seasons, I that's kind of why I'm sitting at a D, because I just don't feel like they were put in a position to where they could really do what they needed to do to win.
Mhm.
So for me, I see as a C as being nice. I'm gonna go with a D for him.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's good.
And overall grade for defense.
Defense, I'll give a higher grade. I thought they did a lot of good things. I thought they improved in certain areas, and really had they got the tough end of the stick, to be honest, because of
Yeah,
what was on the other side of the ball, and that was their offense not being able to complement them well. Got
right.
put in a lot of bad positions, and so I would probably give them a B. I say they did, pretty good. I would say a solid job. Um, Especially when you look at a lot of the games this season, the defense would come out pretty strong and do some good things, especially make adjustments in the second half as well, from time to time. And yeah, you could make the case they did play some really bad offenses as well, which yeah, it could be true. And when they did play a good offense, sometimes KC comes to mind. They didn't show
Yeah,
up.
right.
And even Dallas this last game, and that's why I talked about the inconsistencies of pass rush and not being able to get after the quarterback with your front four. definitely showed up at times. But they also did some good adjustments with the pass coverage and putting more resources to pass coverage, which helped their defense be better in those categories, which was nice. But I would say just a B, a B for defense.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. And I guess my thing is a little bit different. I felt like the defense would go out and get a turnover, and the offense never really they wasted a turnover and didn't really do anything with it. And the way they were getting 3 and outs and getting off the field so quickly,
Yeah.
your defense is gassed by the end of the game, and I
Right.
saw a lot of that. And I think that's what was probably one of the most frustrating things for me is, give them a little time to rest, give them time to be on the sidelines, and run like 3 or 4 plays, and
Yeah.
boom, it's 3 and out, and you've only knocked like 30 seconds off the game clock.
Yeah.
That's awful. I mean, you're not doing your defense any favors. So, for what they were asked to do, as I think Emily had mentioned that, and she's spot on too. But that's kind of what I saw. And they would go out and get turnovers. They would go out and get stops. And if you can get that momentum and work with it, again, it just kind of goes back to why I gave the offense a D, is because they had a lot of opportunities to make plays or extend plays or even give the defense a time to rest, and we just didn't see it. And
Mhm.
so again, I just kind of come back to that. I think that there was an imbalance between the offense and defense, and I'll get to special teams here in a minute, but I just felt like the offense could have done more to help the defense. And I think there are some games that the Bucs probably should have won had things been a little bit more balanced, especially with the way the offense was playing.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you have under 10 points in a lot of these games that we lost,
Mhm.
and you don't have any points going into the second half, like there was a lot of times when we had nothing going
Right.
into the second half, um, and the game that I think comes up to the best, like a best example, is that Cleveland Browns game.
Yeah.
You're up 17-10 in the fourth quarter, and you have opportunities to put the game away, and the offense can't do it. And your defense is continuing to get 3 and outs to help you do so.
Mhm.
But you just can't find a way to move the ball. And you talked about, only I think that one drive where they only took like 15 seconds off the clock.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's stuff like that where you're just not playing together as a team to help your defense out. And yeah, granted, they did allow the tying game, tying score at the end there, which yeah, you can't have happen. But
Right.
it's also you got to look at the entirety of the situation and
Mhm.
how the previous plays went, and it just wasn't good, and that's mainly because of your offense.
Yeah, most definitely, and that's kind of what I saw from it,
Mhm.
is that it wasn't balanced. I mean, when you and I keep coming back to this, they go in, run on first down. Of course, we already know what's going to happen. We run on first down,
Oh yeah,
and then who knows?
Screen.
Yeah, then they throw the bubble screen. You
yeah.
stop the clock,
Bro,
and
how many runs and screens can we run when we're down 4 scores?
and then by the
So
time
many.
it's all done, you've only knocked 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds off the clock. And the defense who've gone out there and gotten you this turnover have to come back out onto the field again and
Yeah.
defend, and you're losing the field position battle because of this. So again, I expected more from the offense. I think because of that balance is where you come up with the that's why I kind of gave the grade that I did to the defense.
Right. Right. Yeah, I look at that Dallas game, and our defense again started off great. They got 2 3 and outs
Mhm.
to start the game, but your offense goes 3 and out for like the first 3 drives. I don't think we got a first down until like the fourth or something like that. I'll have to look
Right.
back at it.
And it was until that drive, and then the drive obviously ended on that interception that we
Right.
showed on the goal line.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you can't have stuff like that. And it deflates your defense as well. I mean, when they
Exactly.
don't when they don't see the offense doing anything, like how are you supposed to just continue to bring that effort throughout the game, especially when you're on the field the whole time. And time of possession was double for Dallas, and that it just takes a lot of toll on you, and it hurts.
Yeah. So again, it's like, what do you do if you're on defense? What do you do? Because that you don't know how much you can really depend on that offense. But I do want to kind of move on. Overall grade for special teams, and it's going to kind of lump it all together. This is what makes it entertaining. KB, you've been away, so I'm going to start.
Sorry, it wasn't my internet,
No.
everyone.
Go
I
ahead.
promise. It was my job that popped up. But for special teams, I give them a C plus. Now, Jake Camarda, I think, gets an A minus. I would put
Punt Prince.
Ryan Suckup A minus. Our long snapper probably has a solid A. But then I got to bring up the coverage units. I mean, if Jake Camarda doesn't kick that ball or kick any kickoffs out of the end zone, generally we're looking about teams starting at the 30 or 40. On a punt situation, Jake Camarda, let's say on the ones that he doesn't have a ridiculous amount of hang time, because he does have some beauties in there.
Uh-oh, he froze up on
Then he
us.
froze. Poor KB.
You may have to find a different platform that's more KB friendly here.
Yeah.
I'll let you jump in.
No, we'll have to go to like Zoom or something. But yeah, I mean, special teams, I would probably just say like a B as well. Just because the return game and also the coverages, like Ken was talking about, just weren't consistent enough.
Yeah. Okay.
But also you couldn't make 50-yard field goals, which also hurts. And it looks like Suckup is going to be no longer with us.
Hey, let's say that happened from a KB post. KB was like, oh, I was thinking he was wanted 23 or something, because I thought SMB would be gone. Nah, he wants that 3, baby. I forgot he was 3 in college, and he has 3 all over his Twitter profile. But that was from my post where he liked that 3 comment. So
yeah,
I think, Ryan Suckup, someone had to say something internally, because why would a current player want that, already just expect to get that quickly, that badly?
Right.
I don't know. Suckup has always been my guy. Suckup made Bucs fans forget that we ever had a kicking problem here.
Well, let's say, Gene Plus, let's say this team had Justin Tucker. Does that change anything from what occurred during our season?
Nah.
No, again, what is a 60-yard field goal going to do for this team? In fact, I think it makes the offense look worse.
Yeah, it's an indictment on the offense.
Yeah,
and also, let's be real. Tampa is one of the hardest places to kick, not in December.
That's true. Yeah, we saw that with Dallas kicker.
Yeah.
0 for 4 on extra points doesn't happen anywhere else. It's never happened before since the new change.
Yep. Yeah, he didn't like the grass.
Emily throwing shade again this week, man. It's a tough audience.
Emily, the most of it was me being on a call. But again, I don't know what the heck's up. Again, I work on Zoom all day, 24/7. I got no issues.
We're going to fix this, my friend. We're going to fix this. I don't know what.
Maybe I need to call StreamYard or talk to their bot.
So for me, I would give them. I want to give them a B. I want to say like a B minus, only because just the coverage and the kick returners are just I don't know. It's just a fair catch. Or
can I ask a fair question on this, Gene? You brought up kick returners, and I know it's something that we haven't even probably talked about in 2-3 weeks. But was there really much of a change between Devin Tompkins and why am I blanking on his name?
Darden.
Darden. Was there really a difference? But everyone was all up in arms about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's about the same.
He had one probably, I'd say, better return that I can remember.
It's about the same. I mean, both guys were just trying to get out of bounds. I mean, so
they're both.
And is that by design? You think it's like don't risk it?
I wouldn't.
Don't turn the ball over. Kind of.
It could be. It very well could be. Maybe that's a Todd Bowles thing.
Also, let's not pretend that we probably have a really bad coverage unit. I'm not going to lie. I don't sit here breaking down punt coverage, film on the week.
I don't either. So.
Like, I'm sorry, like that's not my specialty, and that's
Right.
I mean, I've never played punt coverage, so I can't really. I know offenses, I know defenses, but punt coverage. I mean, I was 6'7", 300 pounds. My ass
You
wasn't on punt coverage.
would be a liability on punt coverage, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, I was that wall in front of the punter in high school, and that was the worst job I've ever had.
Yeah, I bet that's tough.
Yeah.
So,
But that's about it. I never covered a punt, although I did have one tackle from a punt. It was the only tackle I had in college.
okay.
Or in high school, I mean, sorry.
That's awesome.
Okay. So I do want to move on to want to grade the coach.
Oh, boy.
Coaches, plural. I'm talking offense, special teams, and head coach. Everybody. Just overall grade. I mean, when we factor in how the defense played, and I'm going to go first. I'm going to give them a D because there were a lot of missed opportunities. I think they were way too conservative for the modern NFL, in my personal opinion. Way too conservative, and you just have to take those chances and go out there and put it all out there, but not risking anything and hoping to win in overtime is this just shows how much you really believe in your team, that when you do something or that's kind of my takeaway is this is how I feel about my team. So I don't know, when I look at special teams, head coach and offensive coordinator, all combined coaching, I can't give them anything over a D personally.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would probably give him a D as well. It just wasn't good. I mean, a lot of inconsistencies, especially with game management, understanding how to attack, clock management, not being aggressive at the right times, and that goes offense and defensively. There were certain times where they needed to be aggressive. There were certain times in this game that just passed, like they needed to be aggressive, and they just weren't.
And how many times did we see the coaching staff take the ball out of the quarterback's hands?
Literally said we don't trust Brady to not
going 2-minute drill. There were so many times that could have gone 2-minute drill and put themselves in a position to at least come off the field with some points, whether it's 3 or a touchdown.
Yeah.
But it's just like they were comfortable putting the ball back in the defense's hands and letting them kind of dictate how the game went.
Right. Yeah.
I'm only going to give a C- only because I think I'm going to give the defense way more credit. I'd probably give our special teams, again, take out the 3 main specialists. Everyone else, I think, drags down that grade to probably like a D+. Offense, I'm probably about a D, and defense, I'll give a C.
Okay.
So I think C- across the board is pretty fair. I don't think it's too negative, but I also think in a vacuum, obviously I'm disappointed about what happened on Monday, but the defense did a lot.
Yeah.
This game I can't even put on them.
Yeah.
The Chiefs game is what it was. I mean, I don't think anyone was stopping Patrick Mahomes that day. Take that game out, I think
he had a big magic marker circle around that game versus the Bucs.
As he should, man.
Right. I mean, he was going to come out there and do everything in his power to embarrass the Bucs as much as he could.
And you don't think Andy Reid wanted to put 40 on us?
Oh, that. Yeah, he's sitting there with a plate of ribs and a calendar and a magic marker.
Yeah.
He was, hey, we're going to come into Tampa and we're going to show them. And that's pretty much what they did too.
Mm-hmm.
So last question, because I can't believe we've been on here an hour. It's crazy. Is it fair that if Bowles can get to the playoffs next year, that he deserves more time as head coach?
Depends on the circumstance.
Yeah.
Did he hire a good offensive coordinator? Did he do it without Brady?
Let's say that Brady doesn't come back.
If he gets to the playoffs, give him the next 3. Because I think that just shows. Because, again, take Tom Brady off this team. And I was really optimistic in the offseason. I said this team could win 9 games with Kyle Trask or Blaine Gabbert. And I think a lot of people laughed at me silly. And you know what? Hindsight, they were probably right. This team won 8 games with Brady. Let's call it an 8-8 team. Let's throw week 17 out of the or 18 out of the
let's
window.
do that.
Let's call it an 8-8 team. Wow, with what we had, and let's say you're going to need 8 or 9 wins minimum to make the playoffs. So if he can match what he did without Brady, and that's because he hired a good offensive coordinator. That's because he probably worked with Light and obviously drafted good talent, refilled the defense, offensive line's healthy. Like a lot of things would have to go right.
Right.
But I'd say Todd Bowles, if he pulls off a 9-win season next year, I'd call him a good coach, and I would just write this season off as an outlier. But I just don't. That's just a reality. It's really hard for me to accept.
Yeah, I'm just putting that out there. I mean, because again, there's a lot of opportunity for him to, coaching wise. That I think there are games that they could have won with competent coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the Steelers game comes to mind.
That's another one I forgot. Again, the defense. What they did great for the whole game, but then they gave up a couple third and longs, and that's what we remember them for. So again, that's why it's like I think Todd is still one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL.
I do
probably
too.
Not number one at this point, obviously. Coming off 2020, there ain't no one looking as good as Todd.
Right.
So
he's a good defense coordinator. I think the key for him is having the pieces he needs to operate the defense like he wants to. And obviously when he lost Shaq Barrett, that took a huge loss. So
huge.
He's the one-on-one winner, and that's the thing. Like JTS can splash,
you gotta have
he's just not there yet.
Yeah, you gotta have multiple of those guys, and that's one of my hopes they do this offseason and invest into the pass rush because they need it.
They also need D tackles. Hicks probably isn't coming back.
No.
Will Golson's probably not coming back.
Failed experiment right there.
Right now, it's like Vita and Nacho and Logan Hall.
Right. And back to your question, Gene. I mean, I'm with Ken. I think it depends on what takes place and what type of improvements do we see, because I think there's got to be vast improvement in certain areas. And I talked about, just from a head coach standpoint, like he's got to be much better with his game management, his decision making on fourth downs. All those things has to be better and improved, and there has to be some sort of sign as far as modern NFL coaching, and understanding
100%.
what the NFL is today. And really, what the NFL is today, you got to score points.
Yeah.
I think, offense has to be the top priority. And if he can find a way to get the right coaches in here on offense and modernize it and allow these guys to do things that will help them win and
take the reins off.
Yeah, and make Mike Evans and Chris Godwin the stars that they should be used like, then I would say.
I know someone who used Mike Evans pretty well. He's got a couple natty titles in the college ranks these days. I think he has got experience with a lot of the players on this team, because remember a lot of this core was here in 2018.
Yeah, that's my guy, Todd Shaolin Monken. My
Shaolin. Hey, imagine if you could make Scotty Miller look like Deshaun Jackson those first 4, 5, 6 games.
Exactly.
But he's got to win. I mean, bottom line, he's got to put up wins. So I think for him to survive, he's going to have to show improvement, like I said, but also win and get into the postseason.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, then I could see a staff change, and to be honest, kind of hoping for it, to be honest. I mean, I like Todd Bowles for what he is, and that's a defense coordinator. I just don't think he's a very good head coach. And again, maybe he does make that switch where he gives up the play calling duties and he becomes more of a head coach where he can focus on all aspects of the team and kind of do what BA did. Maybe that makes him better, but I mean, the history shows he's just not a very good head coach. And I hate to say that, but I'm of the belief you got to find a guy that understands how to attack teams
and delegate that.
Right. And you need offense. You need offense guys that can come in here. And you look at the playoffs right now, all of them are offensive guys, with the exception of Sean McDermott.
And who did Sean McDermott hire? Brian Dabble and Ken Dorsey.
Right.
Who Ken Dorsey's going to get head coaching looks. And whether if it's not this season, it's going to be next or 2025, where he's going to be a name to watch. And Brian Dable just fucking proved what kind of a man he is as a head coach.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, doing great job.
So again, that's a defensive coordinator who found that elite play caller. Obviously, they have the quarterback too,
Right.
but Josh Allen, for instance, is still he's not 2020 Josh Allen. He's 2021 and 2022 Josh Allen. This year was just more interceptions,
Yeah.
but still the same results.
Right.
But they were a lot more aggressive this year. I felt like they were a lot more aggressive this year than they have been in the past because it's about winning. They want to go out there and win that game. And that's kind of where there have been times where they've made mistakes, but at the end of the day, they've been able to overcome them. And I think, like this season, I think Kansas City is the team to beat, to be honest. I mean, just overall, I don't know on the NFC side, but I can tell you just with everybody that's out there, me personally, I would see Kansas City as a team you don't want to face in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and a good point by G Vegas there as well, talking about the young QBs in the playoffs, with mobility and stuff like that to buy time for their offensive line. I think that is also something that's trending. And if the Bucs receive a top 10 pick going into next year, maybe it is time you go out and you find a quarterback, and it's a good quarterback class next year, and you pair them up with a good offensive mind that can take over, like a Mike Kafka or a Ken Dorsey or a Ben Johnson that we've talked about. That would be something exciting to see. That's just my opinion, but
yeah,
I mean, if Todd Bowles can find the right offensive guy, the right offensive play caller, then maybe things can change and that can help him benefit. And you still have that great defensive scheme that can work when you have the right guys in there.
Yeah. Well, guys, wasn't the season we wanted, but here we are to the end of it. Me, my least favorite part of the NFL dynamic is the off season. This is where your Twitter GMs and Twitter coaches come out of nowhere, and all your mock drafts are going to start pouring out, and everybody's got to be right. But again, it's fun. That's what makes the game fun. When we get to the preseason, we'll have forgotten all about this. So, KB, let me get your final thoughts, and then plus I'll get yours, and we'll roll out of here.
Be patient this offseason, everyone. Like last year, everyone was freaking out after the whole Brady thing obviously came back. We don't know what this team looks like literally until free agency begins in mid-March. Don't go crazy the next 2 months thinking, hey, this team's screwed. Hey, Kyle Trask is going to be the quarterback. Hey, Blaine Gabbert's going to be the quarterback. Oh, let's go trade for Derek Carr. Let's go do this. No, just relax. At least see what happens with Brady first. Then have fun, twiddling your mustache, playing GM and everything like that. It's just going to be a process, and I'm not the one to preach patience because everyone sees my tweets on Sunday.
Yeah, if you follow this guy on Sunday.
But like, this is what I mean though, is like, you can have an expectation for this team, but also know like, hey, this is literally going to be a long off season. I just find a new hobby for the next 6 weeks.
There you go.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I echo what Ken says there. Definitely be patient. And I talked about it earlier in the show. The first couple of moves are going to be finalizing this staff and who's going to be the offensive staff. And that's really going to start taking place here over the next week or so, where you're going to hear some announcements, and obviously the firings are going to take place, and Byron will be let go, and et cetera. And, we'll start to see, okay, who are we going to start to target to bring in here and really create, what is our scheme going to look like, and what type of personnel are going to be, fitted to that scheme, and how are we going to attack defenses, stuff like that. So that will pretty much dictate, I think, of the game plan. And, we'll see what happens with Tom, and Tom will probably be the next step. We have till March 15th to make that decision, I think. So, yeah, just be patient, enjoy the offseason. If certain guys aren't signed before free agency starts, don't panic.
Remember
again,
Ryan Jensen? Everyone was freaking out. He literally
Yeah.
signed 12 hours before free agency began because it all came down to Brady.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So yeah, just be patient. Yeah, enjoy the process because it is a process. It's a long one. Like I always say, roster is fluid. So you're gonna see your ups and downs, and sure there'll be overreactions. There'll be all that great stuff, and we should go get this guy, and we should go get that guy. But yeah, just enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna start my draft process, which is gonna be so much fun. So
This is
can't-
now. This is what gets the juices flowing right here when you hear this.
yeah.
This is the positive side of the off season right here is the real Bucs Talk draft.
Yeah, RBT will be back in full action. We're gonna have a lot of video content over the next several months, so very excited for that. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. More live streams as well. So I think we're gonna get back to that schedule and formula for sure.
All right. Well, I will be in Tampa on the 20th. I get in on the 20th. The Gasparilla Kids Parade. Look for crew of Santa Margarita. We will be on the float, the Rosario, having a blast. And then the following week, of course, we will be on the Santa Margarita for the day parade. I will definitely be hanging out a lot of different spots in Tampa. So who knows?
When is Gasparilla?
Next week. Or actually Saturday. Saturday is the kids parade, and the following week is the day parade.
That's right. Yep.
I'm so excited. So excited. Get to throw beads. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But I do want to thank everybody that's been a consistent listener. G Vegas, Emily, Will the Brewer, Donnie, just everybody that's checked us out. Justin Stevenson, longtime friend. I'm really happy that you guys are taking time to jump in the chat. And, I want you guys to feel like this is a safe place to come in, hang out and talk football, regardless of if it's your team or not. You're always welcome here, unless you're Atlanta or something like that. But anyway, even Atlanta, I'll let you guys in. But all joking aside, I do want to thank everybody. This wasn't the season we wanted, but we hang in there and we stay Bucs fans and we keep it moving. So I will definitely be there. Look for me and Rhett Matthew from Cannon Fodder. We will be doing our thing. So
is there going to be a baby goat that he's going to bring? Is that a sneak peek?
We shall see.
Okay.
We shall see.
And also, can I add one thing real quick before we hop off?
Absolutely.
Don't cheer for the Byron Leftwich firing. Obviously, I have someone who I don't like doing this. It's because, again, I have high expectations for this team. Keep in mind, if Byron is fired, and most likely will be fired, especially Peter Report has, made that be known. Just remember, it's not just Byron who's going to leave. There's a lot of assistant coaches and families that are affected by this.
Yep.
You can just accept that it's occurred, but let's not celebrate it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I know he's going to get picked up somewhere else. Just because that's just how the
Hey,
NFL.
we would have had 2 third round picks the next 2 drafts if Jacksonville hired him.
Yeah.
So,
But again, it is what it
RIP.
is. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Again, keep checking for us. We're going to take a couple of weeks off and then come back and try to have Pless on and Josh Quapo back on and kind of get an idea of what direction this team is going. But right now, there's a lot of football to be played. Let's get out there and enjoy it. Root for the 49ers to stomp the hell out of Dallas, if anything. But other than that, you guys, everybody have a great off season. And it's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys.
Go Bucs.
Go